Hello everyone and welcome back to my art channel. I'm Vixey, and if you've seen my other videos, awesome. If you haven't, I will put links and stuff. So yes, I have continued to do some painting on this artwork. I've made a little bit of progress here. I put some of the iridescent green through in the grass, so as you can see, so iridescents they catch the light sort of like holographic. So I put that in the grass here and a little bit in the water as well. I've gone ahead and started on trying to get the shape of a croc here. I'm gonna try to put a sling back. I usually break the straps on mine, so I was using my pink one as a guide, and yeah, it's missing the strap at the back, so I kind of have to find it. Oh, I realized that I always check my phone for references, like I bring up pictures and things as guides as I paint, and so I realized that that's kind of one of the things that has been kind of stopping me from painting so well while filming at the same time. So I have to be a little more organized and print out some of my reference pictures, or what I've done here is I've gotten like this picture of, because I'm gonna pop an Eiffel Tower just over here, which I've started to draw kind of a guideline of, and so I was like, okay, I do need to have some sort of reference while I'm doing that. While I'm filming at the same time on my phone. So what I've done is I actually saw this cookie cutter while I was shopping with my mum today, and I'm just gonna tear up this. It's a Eiffel Tower cookie cutter, so that I can, like, you know, see what the basic shape is. And actually, I was thinking I might experiment with putting some paint on it and seeing if I can stamp that. And the card that it's strapped on has like it's not the Eiffel Tower, it's a cookie of the Eiffel Tower, but I thought, you know, I have a reference so I can look at it and like try to sort of copy it. And when I was doing this guideline, I realized that the brushes that I had were a bit too broad, because the strokes are just coming through very thick, even if I'm using the thinnest of thin brushes. So what I did was I also got some new very fine line brushes. That's still got the packaging on it. So can I? No, it's... Oh yes, I can thread the needle back. Okay, and these ones, which are super, super fine. Look how tiny that one is. Itty bitty one. So I got like a whole heap of finer brushes, because we've laid down all the background, and then as you move more and more forward, you tend to do finer and finer detail. With a lot of my other pieces of work, because I was more abstract than I was trying to be have symbolism or like realism, I kind of left it kind of loose. And I mean, a lot of great artworks tend to be like quite loose, because there's something more creative about being closer to like a conceptual abstract kind of feel to something. Because it was like what I was trying to explain in the last video about how there's this sort of balance between technical things and mystical things. And So a lot of artworks that are a little more whimsical and a little more fluid or blended tend to be more mystical and therefore have more of a creative quality to them. And I think that that's why they can be more highly valued sometimes. Because technical things are something that, like, you can. It's sort of easier, more tangible to, like, communicate, I suppose. But the more mystical things tend to be a little more complicated to try to explain, because how do you explain how to create mystery? like, it's like less knowing's kind of better. This is some of the finer brushes some more finer brushes I actually got. So yeah, with my more abstract works, I have like left them more loose, and so I didn't do finer detail. But on particularly my cat one, I really want to get right into the realism, and I guess I'm avoiding it a bit because it is kind of intimidating. But I will get around to it. I will. I promise I will. So I have got the finer brushes because I do want to put a lot more finer detail on this painting. I also wanted to experiment a bit with some of these little, like this metal tipped bottle. And I got these little like drippers as well. They're all like from the craft store, like the $2 craft store. Like, they're all quite inexpensive, but I guess they kind of add up after a while. Yeah. I went on a little bit of a shopping spree, a little Christmas shopping spree for me. And I got like this syringe that comes with a plasticky bendy needle, so you can't use that for, you know, shooting up for drugs or anything like that. No, bad. Silver paint, yes. I was quite good and cleaned up yesterday. But I've had a shower and stuff, and I've still got, like, I must have slept on some of the paint because I got some of the paint, and I had a shower and I like tried to wash it off, and it's still there, so it might take a while for it to wear off. I probably should have worn like long sleeves or something. And this dress as well. This dress has got like paint all over it now. Again, popping the timer thingy over there. And yeah, I'm just gonna, yeah. So, and again, when like you're not being watched, you kind of just, I guess, think less. Think less, feel more. And so I started like just sort of, I had this idea of just like having a bit of like ribs like breaking out of the rib cage, kind of, and I put a little leaf in there as well, and started, I don't know, I started putting a little like darker outlines of the red, and then it started like bleeding, and I was like, that looks kind of cool actually, so I started like putting a bit more of that in there. It's splattered all over the place. Which, if that ends up being part of it, again, it's, I mean, the part of the creative process is like, oh yeah, some of the things you don't plan, and it's just sort of like, actually that kind of works, so I might actually leave. I kind of actually like a couple of these droplets on this shoe. Kind of remind, because I watched Knives Out the other night, and spoiler alert, huge spoiler alert actually, I'm just gonna say there was a drop of blood on the shoe. That's not a really huge spoiler alert. That actually is probably, well, I guess you'll have to see to know. Anyway, yeah. So that was kind of, I guess, I don't know whether that like subconsciously happened. It is a very, very tiny red dot. But, I I don't know if that was a subconscious thing, but or whether it was just an accident, mea culpa, like happy accident that it just sort of happened. And that's the whole thing with being creative, is you do, and it just sometimes happens. I also put, I was building up some more texture on the sand here, so I've started putting some gold flecks in there as well. So, yes, in the foreground, I'm starting to use more of the iridescence. And the thing is, with the iridescence, you want them to be like highlights. You want them to sort of just bring out, like, if I put it in the background too much, like, it just all becomes like one washed out sort of thing. So I added in places where it will actually bring in some of the extra light reflection. Yeah. Oh, and I started adding like the constellation thing back in there, which because again, now that I have finer brushes, I'll be able to actually put those stars back in there and with a little more detail. Another thing I'm going to try to get a bit more detail is I've got these little toothpicks, or I don't know if people call them cocktail sticks sometimes. I got a couple of these, and yeah, I'm going to try to like apply paints with that as well. So we're going to see what out of all these things will give us a nice clean line. Because yeah, what I'm wanting to do is put some nice clean silver lines in places. But I'm actually going to avoid doing that right now because I'm feeling like I want to put a couple more darker shades of green in here. Which I might still do with the finer brushes. Just kind of warm up to the whole using of finer brushes. So we'll use one of the thicker of the finer brushes. And today's episode, I believe we're up to the letter R. 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 So R for red. I've got red nails on at the moment. Red. R for roses. R for being ready. R for royals. What other R words? R for relaxing. R for realism, reality. Yeah, I'm already loving how much easier this is with the finer brushes. I mean, I'm still very glad that I started off with the broader brushes because that has created a nice backdrop for the finer work. Because, see, now that I'm doing the finer work, if I miss a spot, it'll be like obvious. That's what I'm trying to say. So where else, if you've got like the background already there, then if you miss a spot, it's like the stuff behind it shows through, which adds extra texture. So yeah, R for Romeo, R for ranting, R for me ranting about Romeo and Juliet, because I do that all the time because I actually read the thing. R for reading. I have had quite a journey of how I've felt about Romeo and Juliet. I used to feel rage because I was like, spoiler alert again. I mean, I'd expect that most people have read it because it tends to be something that is mentioned in English classes and literature classes in like high school. But in case people haven't, every school's curriculum could be different. Major spoiler alert then. At the end, Romeo and Juliet die. In case that wasn't something that you already knew. And of course, that's quite shocking news. And R for romance, that story is often viewed as romantic. In fact, sometimes it's viewed as like one of the greatest romances ever. But it was never actually intended as a romance when it was written by Shakespeare. So, it was meant to be a tragedy. And the moral of the story was supposed to be if the parents hadn't been at war and fighting and full of hate, if everyone was not so full of hate, then the two innocent lovers would have survived and lived happily ever after and got there happily ever after. So the moral of the story was supposed to be don't hate, love. But a lot of people tend to just sort of grab the wrong end of the stick with that story and kind of run, another R word, and kind of just run with it and have romanticized, another R word, romanticized their death. And it's, as I said, not a romance, it's a tragedy. And I think it's really tragic that so many movies, stories, media, all that sort of thing have continued to perpetuate this idea of death being romantic, which is just so weird and wild, because that's kind of not a healthy point of view of love and romance. And yeah, that is why I often rant about that story. Which, by the way, even that story itself was like, yeah, it happened over a very short period of time. And Romeo was actually at the party to see Rosaline. Not the R was her name. Her name was Rosalind, so it was supposed to be Romeo and Rosaline. And he was all excited about meeting her and stuff. And that was in the play. That was in the very beginning of the play. The girl he was actually daydreaming about and all romantic about and all worked up about was Rosalind. And it would have all been fine if he had gotten with Rosalind, because she was not one of the enemy. She wasn't a family member of the enemies. The Capulets. Really quite happy with how this grass is going. Green, green grass at home. Grass is always greener. Again, I sort of just felt like doing this, green, like, it kind of felt like it was just in place with the whole rainbow, another R word, rainbow effect that I actually started. The original concept was the sunset, and then it sort of just progressed, and it just made sense to me, the spectrum of the rainbow to continue. which again might have been something subconscious because that's still on theme somehow. So there we go. Yes. Oh, vibrant sprouts. I will definitely be going over that with more of the iridescence, I think. Because that iridescence made, like, really nice effect. Really nice. And yeah, this part here is a little messed up. I could definitely fix that up a bit. That tuft of grass has grown a little bit wild. I am liking using the finer brushes though. They are giving me some very nice strokes. Let's go even thinner. Oh, I also was planning on, like, because sometimes when I'm shopping with Mum, she likes to shop and me and Dad like to sit there and do nothing. So I've put together a little bit of an art kit with, like, all the acrylic paints here. A couple of these little water paint pot things. It comes with this cool little clip thing, so you can clip it on top of, like, things when you work. And a little bottle of water here. I anticipate that I'll have some serviettes and stuff if I'm in the cafeteria of a shopping center. And I have, like, these tiny little canvases to paint on. So I have, like, a little travel art kit, and throw in a couple of the smaller brushes in there as well. So I've made a little portable art kit. I will be planning on making, like, some little paintings to pop on TikTok as well. I've collected some quotes from different artists, which I will pop on there as well. So if you like to hear those, inspirational quotes and things, you can check it out there. I'll remember to pop the link there somewhere. I'm gonna pop some more. Oh, I'm building up more and more texture on the fluffy kitten here. At the moment, I sort of think it's kind of funny and cute that we see the back of the kitten's head, so I'm not gonna actually bother painting a face on there. But I'll start putting a little more definition on the fluffiness around the neck so that you can sort of see it's more of, like, the head of the kitten. And yeah, I quite like how I'm getting a bit more of the texture in there. Just a little, yeah. So if I hold it on an angle, you can start to see that, yeah, there's some strokes in there. And yeah, I'm just using the white paint because I used a couple of the creamier shades, and that just started looking like the sand was showing through. So I was like, you know what, I'll stick to the white, and I don't really want to mess it up with grey. So I just kind of want the actual thickness of the paint to do all the work of building up the dimensions. So, because it's easier to really have, like, folds and shades than it is to fake it with actual shading. And it's kind of like, it gives it a bit of authenticity that it's like an actual real, like, texture. So I'm just gonna wash out this brush. I'm gonna get in the habit of like washing the brushes as I go, because otherwise what ends up happening is paint dries and then it's even harder to wash out. I also want to start trying to paint in some crystals around this edging here. So I'm going to do that as well. Yeah. I think I'll put another layer of the white, because what I really want to do is really continue layering all that. So we'll go in with a finer brush. This one's finer. So I'll just keep on layering the white in there. Oh, this brush is quite stiff because it's not been... This is a brand new brush. Like, brushes tend to get more and more flexible over time as well, because you start like getting water and stuff into them, soaking into the fibers. So yeah. Okay. So I'm starting out at the edges here, right? I always start at the top and then just build more of the strokes lower and lower and lower. And that just sort of creates, same thing with the grass, it just sort of creates, it's kind of like, you know how Pixar had that, they built that fur engine? I'm sort of pretty much doing the same thing by hand as what their computer program did. And the fur engine and the grass engine, like, they ended up using the same engine to build both things. So yeah, I'm again going to continue doing that, and I'll probably do a little more painting off screen, but I will, just as I did today, walk through what I have added as we go along. Yeah, I hope you have a great day and have had a Merry Christmas. Well, starting to have a Merry Christmas, because I believe in America you guys are already on your second day of December. No, you guys would be on your first day of December, and we here in Australia would be on our second day of December. So since December has started, I tend to feel like, yeah, it's the Christmas month, so it's okay to start, you know, Christmasing. Yeah. So see you next time. Bye.